Guys, what a fascinating challenge. We've just seen the video with the drawing. I see that we have a lot of talented artists in our team. So, we've seen two lawyer talks, or at least two talks where they were lawyers, but this is a hackathon, so we thought we must give it a fair balance. So, we have a programming talk here for you, and I'm here with my brother Oszkar.
Hi everyone.
Yeah, my one and only and best brother. And we have a workshop for you about Flutter. Flutter is a programming framework that runs on the Dart environment, Dart programming language. And we're going to build a small app here. We're going to build a blackjack app. But since this is a hackathon, we'll call it a hackjack. And we're going to do this in how many minutes?
In an hour.
In an hour, okay. Oszkar says he can do it in an hour. I'll just sit here and watch and talk a bit. So yeah, let's start. Ossi, okay. Where should we start?
Okay, so we have already prepared something. As you can see, here we have our Dart program. Mm-hmm. This is the main.dart. Here we have the material lab. This is basically what it starts from. And we've set the home to be the game stateful widget, and we have already defined a couple of game states. Okay. Adam, you can, well, it's pretty straightforward. There are 4 game states. You can either play, so you need to draw cards, or you need to pass the round to the dealer.
Okay. You wanna explain the rules of blackjack?
Well, we can do it like meanwhile.
Okay, meanwhile.
Okay, so the rules of the blackjack are actually concluded here in the providers. And Adam, why are we using a multi-provider?
Okay, so let's start a bit here, right? So Flutter is something that has a declarative UI. Now, what is declarative UI? Declarative UI means that you have a state, and the UI is a pure function of that state. So basically what Oszkar is showing here, just let's forget about a bunch of boilerplate that we have here. But we have some states here, and our game, basically when you play blackjack, you have the casino, the dealer playing against the player. And you have 2 hands, so 2 sets of cards. One is here, and the other hand is here. We both provided by a provider library. We're using the provider library instead of the standard Flutter libraries, instead of the Flutter stateful widgets, because we find this more intuitive and easier.
That's right?
You agree?
That's right.
So basically these are the states, and what comes beneath that, what we're going to do here is write a function, a large function that's going to draw out the state of the game. Oszkar. So what are the steps that we need to do?
Okay, so basically here are the rules of the game, and now we need to go on and do the UI. So here you can see the virtual device, our Android virtual device, and we've defined that we have a scaffold right here with a column. Column, it is just a vertical array of children's, and we'll need to have a couple of things inside it. So the first thing is a text that will say it's a dealer hand. So basically we'll show the dealer's cards, and another thing will be the my bad, we need to wrap it in a column. So we have a column of children, and there is a text that says dealer hand. Then maybe you can comment it and I will write the code.
Okay, sure. So Oszkar has put in a text widget. In Flutter, everything is a widget. Oh, I should look there, sorry. Yeah, so in Flutter, everything is a widget. So Oszkar put there a text widget. This is a constant widget, like it doesn't do anything. It's always a dealer hand. But as we'll see later, we will use the states, the state of the user hand and the state of the dealer hand, to draw out the UI. So Oszkar currently has put in these 2 columns there, and the idea is if I can draw it down here to do something like this, the screen is gonna be here. Perhaps if we can show this little table to the viewers. Yeah. And perhaps if you could, oh, you can see it there, a small one. So we have a column here, and then inside the column we'll have two smaller columns, and inside that we'll have some text saying dealer hand, player hand, and then inside these we'll have a row of cards. So basically that's what Oszkar is doing now. He's putting in a column that has the dealer hand, and beneath that is a consumer. Now you might be interested, why is that actually a consumer? I think you can switch back. Now you might be interested why that is a consumer. As we said, that we are using the provider library, and if you provide the state, you have to consume it. Now to understand how consumers work, we'll turn to the table again, because basically here's our state structure. So we have three state providers, one for the dealer hand, one for the player hand. One is basically just a calculation of the game state, because that's always given from the two hands in blackjack. And then we have a bunch of widgets here. This is a widget tree, but not all the widgets need to depend on the actual need to depend on all the states. So we wrap them in consumers, and these consumers consume the states and rebuild parts of the tree. So you don't have to rebuild the whole tree, but for example, if the dealer hand changes, you only rebuild the part that actually shows the dealer hand. Or for example, if the player hand changes, you only rebuild the one that does this. And if the game state changes, then you obviously only rebuild the little text widget that says you won or you lost or whatever. Yeah, okay. So let's go back to the code.
Yes, well, we've done some changes already. So we have a text that says a dealer hand, and text that says a player hand, and we have the consumers that Adam talked about.
Yeah.
And now we are going to define the cards, which will be just scrollable list views, and let's do that. So we need a stateless widget, and we're gonna return a column, because we will not only show the cards that the player has, but we will also show their sum at the top. So we have a column of children.
In blackjack, you usually, when you're playing a game, you show the sum, and the rule is that if you have an ace that counts either as a 1 or 11. Now it's usually good if you have high cards, except when it's over 21 the sum. So in that case, you count ace as 1. Now, if you can count, if you have a hand where you have an ace and it can have two values, it's called a soft hand, and you usually show the larger value as just printed out and the smaller values in parentheses. So is this, Oszkar, that you're doing now?
Yes. Okay.
Don't worry. So Oszkar goes to the hand visualizer. What we see here is a text widget that has the hand sum in there, and then you're gonna do some trickery and show something different if the hand is so-called soft.
Okay, so we are providing the property hand to the hand visualizer, so we need to create the constructor for it, and I think we could try to show it on the virtual device.
You're consuming game state instead of a hand. Player hand, user hand. Okay, this is a small mistake. Just to Oszkar is just do the coding. I'll just say a quick aside here. So basically, the hand class was already predefined. We're not coding that because that would take too much time. You can find the code in the repo that Oszkar will publish. The point is that it's not that important what your state is. Like, everybody can write up a couple of classes that do something. Flutter is more interesting in when you're building the UIs, and as Ossi will show you, it has a so-called live reload feature, which we will show just in a moment, right? Once we have this done, that you'll see that we just hit the R button and it rebuilds automatically without restarting the app totally.
That's right. I'm now defining the app bar so you can see a bit more of it, the UI.
Okay. We have something there. Okay.
Okay,
It's green because we're in a casino, right?
That's right. Okay, so basically what you can see, well, what you cannot see right now because it's pretty small. But basically we have the two columns, and now we have the dealer hand and the sum of the cards. It's not that important for now, but now we need to build the cards, the list view of the cards.
Yeah.
And we will do that by, as I said, in the hand visualizer we are using a column. We have the first children, which is the text, and now we need the second one, which will be the list view. And we are not going to use the regular list view. We are going to use the list view separated.
Okay.
Basically, there isn't too much of a change.
So, Oszkar, I guess you're a bit involved in Flutter, but most people have never seen Flutter. List view is what's list view? Let's explain what's list view. List view is like a super fancy sort of widget that's a builder that you pass it a list and it builds the same. It performs the same build function for each item. You could obviously do it with a column and just with a for loop and then put into the column the widgets, but with list view it's much more elegant and I would say Flutter-ish or Flutter-like or Flutter-ic.
Yes. I think that now we should explain the list view a little bit more in detail. So basically what we are doing here is we have the separator. It's just a size box. The size box is actually a widget that can take up that has a certain dimension, and the item count comes from the hand variable. And now from the item builder is the builder that will build the cards. So now we have the context and the index. The index will tell which card it will be from the list of cards. So we'll have a front card that's gonna take a hand.cards.index, hand.cards index. And Adam, we need now to define the front cards.
The front cards, okay.
Yes.
So basically, what Ossi has just done, he's or he has abstracted the code and he's writing a class that will build a front card, meaning we pass it a card object. Again, what is a card? Card is just a tuple of a color and a value, and a front card function will transform this variable into a visual widget.
Yes, it will require a parameter called card.
Yeah.
So
we have to set it as a field. That's actually one of the drawbacks of Flutter. This is very much a functional thing that you're doing. In fact, the same thing in React is called functional component, but this is just an aside. I'm not a React expert. The point is that there's actually a library called functional widget that does it as a function instead of a class, but it's pretty nasty. So yeah, that's just an aside. So Oszkar is building now the front card widget builder, which will be a column with a text inside, a certain height. So this will be like a card shaped something.
Yes, and for now we will have two text widgets that's gonna represent that's gonna show the
card type.
Which is the number.
That's the number 1, 2, 3, JK, JQK, and so on. And then the type is oh, sorry. I think you should do suit. No.
No.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Okay.
My bad.
We need to, since we created a new file, we need to import it, and okay, we have an error. That can happen sometimes.
Ooh, what's this?
I think that we need to wrap the list view in a size box,
okay.
Since it's saying that it has an
This
unbound
is some
height.
high-level Flutter wizardry that just my brother understands, and I would not be able to explain it. So
I'm not sure if it will solve it.
Perhaps I'll Google a joke in the meanwhile.
Okay, it did solve it, indeed.
You solved it? Okay.
Yes. Okay, so now also, well, in Flutter maybe that's a bit complicated that you have properties. For example, let's look at the properties of a list view. There are a ton of properties. I don't even know sometimes that you can do powerful things with that, but you need to search for them, and one of them is scroll direction. You don't have a list view that scrolls vertically, but you can, well, you can adjust whether you want to scroll vertically or horizontally.
So by default it scrolls horizontally and you can change it, right?
Yes.
X is horizontal. Okay, cool.
So now we should see two cards next to each other. That's right.
That looks nice.
Okay. We'll do a bit more styling on that, but
but you can already see that it's sort of, you know, you see the live reload feature. So Oszkar did not rebuild the whole thing. You just pressed R and that's there. There's actually like even two types of reloads. There's a hot reload and a full hot restart. One of them, I'm never sure which one it is, even preserves the state of the app. It just rebuilds the components, which is, I think it's really cool. Like
the reload.
Yeah,
you need hot restart to restart the whole app. Okay. We can continue. And another property of the column is the main axis alignment. And as you can see, we can set the main axis alignment to space between. And now let's take a look at the cards. You can see well, I'm trying to make it as big as possible, but when you take a closer look at the numbers, you can see that they are right next to each other. But when we use the main axis alignment space between, save it and then hit hot reload, the numbers are separated from each other. And we will also...
So you have two objects, then the space between means this, the space evenly this, the center this, start, and so on.
Yes, we will also need to define the alignment of the text widget so it looks more like a playing card. We have alignment bottom right, and we'll use top left for another one. Alignment top left.
Yeah. What's cool about this, if you've noticed, if you're building an app in HTML, you have to write a bit of HTML, and then you have to write of CSS, and you have to get the two things working together. In fact, if you go to the Flutter website and read a bit, the first tutorial says it's like HTML and CSS when it comes to styling, except it's in the same language. So you don't have to, you know, you have the styling in code, which is quite convenient, I would say.
That's right. Probably we would do this in CSS for ages and need to write different code.
Well, yeah, I mean, people are used to, but still, I think it's a more neater approach.
Okay, and another powerful thing is you can, if you're using an IDE, for example, Visual Studio Code, you have a couple of predefined refracting methods, and a very common thing is to use padding. You always need padding, and you can just double-click and refractor, use padding for it, and now let's just hot reload it, and you know it's a bit shifted from the edge. Another powerful widget, maybe Clipper Act.
Ooh, what's that?
That has a border radius that we can set to circular, and we can then define in pixels how many pixels do we want to distract. And now we have a nice playing card.
This looks like a nice playing card. Can we add some shadow? Let's do that a bit later, right?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Now we need to add the sign or the suit of the of the card, and we will do it by get suit. It will be a function that we need to define up here.
So it's a utility method that Oszkar is going to define. Oh, careful! You have to keep the override.
Oh, true.
So override is like a decorator.
Okay, so we will return a widget. Since this function will return a widget. based on the type.
Based on the suit.
Yeah.
So basically, Oszkar will have to put here 4 if statements that look at the suit of the card and then return a text or what is it that will represent the whether it's a diamond, club, spade, and so on. So we've defined this in an enum. Again, it's not terribly interesting.
Yes. So this is a bit of a boring part, I would say, for if statements. Well, you could solve it by using icons, but you would need to.
We did not find these. By the way, I think it's actually we should say that they could solve it by icons because there are so many libraries out there that they can import, right?
Well, yeah, there are countless icons that you can use, and this is another. Well, probably you're familiar if you're using CSS. We are just styling the text. We are setting the font size to be a bit bigger, and the color also to be red because the heart on the card is red. So let's set it to red. And now I will use. I prepared the different.
So we're just using the icons that you can find in like standard, I don't know, Unicode or whatever it is.
And now I will just paste it 4 times and redo all of that. So maybe you can explain something.
Maybe if you remove this last comma, then the auto formatting of Flutter is smart enough to know that you want to place it into one line. It's actually a pretty niche feature. Every time you save it, it auto formats it, which is pretty necessary since it's a very brackety sort of nested language. Okay.
Did we?
What is the by?
What is the by? Okay. I probably accidentally copied more.
Okay. That's good.
Okay. This is a spade, and we have a club.
Okay.
Maybe you can explain until then the how the buttons will work. The double.
So perhaps if we can ask for the camera to move over to the board and cut from the production, then we'll show that here we'll have 3 buttons. In Blackjack, you can do 3 actions. You can either hit, that means you get a card, but if you get over 21, then you've lost. You can stand, which means you let the dealer play, and the dealer draws to 16 and then stops at 17. But if he draws over 21, he loses as well. But if he's closer to 21 than you are, then he wins. If you're closer, then you win. And then the third button is the double button. Now, double doesn't really make sense here because we did not implement the pot, or we can't really bet here. But anyway, we've implemented it since you can only bet if you only have 2 cards on your hand. So you can only double if you only have 2 cards on your hand. So that means when you're at the first round, and once you double, you get 1 extra card, and then the dealer goes automatically. So you can't hit after you've doubled. So again, coming back to our original point, we'll have to implement the buttons in such a way that they are only active when we're in certain states of the game. And even within those states, we have to distinguish between the state when we only have 2 cards in our hand and so on. But Flutter is perfect for this, so we can switch back to the code, and now we have to do the buttons?
No, we are doing the text that will say what kind of game state we are in. This is a similar situation. We need to do a couple of if statements. We are the last minute. Okay, so if the game state is equal, that means that we will need to return a text message, a text that will say it's a draw, and so on. If the player won, we will return the text player won. Adam, what is a consumer? We already talked about that.
Oh yeah, we've already explained the consumer. Again, this is one of those things that were here on the table with green. So the text actually depends on the state, and it depends on the game state. It doesn't depend on the hands, although the game state depends on that. But this is nice about consumer. So that when the games, if only the game state changed, nothing else was rebuilt except that little text, which allows for a performant run, which is one of the advantages of
now
Flutter.
maybe this is not the best way to do it, but you can return empty containers.
Yeah,
in
this
Flutter.
is a hack that Oszkar is going to show you now. When you need to return something and it needs to be nothing, you have to return a container. You can't return.
Okay, so actually what we've done here is pretty much we will see it when we will play. We'll just return some text, and during the play we will return an empty container that will be invisible basically. So let's and we have the cards.
This looks pretty good, right?
Centered. Now the only thing that's left to implement is the
buttons,
right? Are the buttons. So, and maybe we will then make the text a bit bigger. So
yeah,
it will be
maybe white, so it looks like those inscriptions.
Yes, we will show how to use Google fonts. That's maybe a powerful thing also. You need to import just the dependency, and you can use all sorts of Google
what
fonts.
are we doing? Buttons?
Buttons. Okay,
let's do the buttons.
Enough of talk.
So again, what do buttons depend on? They depend on the
free consumer. We are having
you actually have to consume everything. You have to consume the game state. You have to consume both hands, because even though it doesn't depend on, for example, the dealer hand, you want to access the dealer hand. So, and for that you need consumer as well. Okay, so
yes, so we are having
Oszkar will
we tend to rename the values given
the builder function
in the building
signature.
Yeah, let's say
GS
for
will be
game state, player hand, and dealer hand.
PH and DH.
And we don't need this one.
Child, that's for performance. You can so it's like the last it's like the last thing that was there, so you can somehow optimize it for performance. We're not using it now. When the consumer rebuilds, we always rebuild.
Yes, now we'll have a variable of buttons that will be a list of widgets, like so. And what we will do, we will, based on the game state, whether we are playing or the game has finished and we need to restart the app, we will add different buttons to this list.
Yeah.
So let's see, if the game state is game state play, then we will add all the buttons. So as Adam mentioned, double hit and what is the last?
Double hit stand. Yeah,
that's right. So
and then once the game is over, so either of the players have won, then you want to put there a restart button that will rebuild the game widget and thereby restart the game.
Yes. So there are a couple of buttons that you can use in Flutter. They're really powerful. There are outline buttons, there are raise buttons, there are floating action buttons. There are a ton of them. And what you can do is you can use the raised button.icon. And what that means that you have an icon property that you can use straight away, and it looks, I think, better than if you would. Yeah. Well, you could.
Let's use the upwards arrow.
Okay. Another thing, you could use as a child, you could use a row, and you can have an icon and text next to each other. But by using raise button.icon.
Why don't we just show the users by a hot restart what it looks like?
Well, there's nothing to show right now because.
Well, you can just put in the button and then they'll see how it works. Okay. So icon dot arrow upwards, I think it's called. Whichever. Upward arrow upward, that one.
Yes. Okay.
I guess
and
there's
the
a better
on-press
symbol
button
for double, but
and let's say the text will be double. But we cannot show it right now because we will need to map it.
I think we should make it double, prepare for trouble.
Okay, we'll do that as a
just joking.
Okay, so we have the you know what, I will do the rest of them.
Okay.
And at the end I will show what's happening. Okay, so we have the double, we have the hit, and we have the stand.
Yeah, according to material design, the buttons should be uppercase, right?
Yes, you can do it by I think to uppercase, and then everything is, well, we'll show one lowercase and one uppercase. Then we will redo that. So the hit will be a play button, like so, and the stand will be a stop icon. And now I need to zoom out a bit because I need to.
I wonder how many people are still watching.
Well, maybe they can ask some questions about Flutter if they want.
Is there a way for people to ask questions? Yeah, okay. So guys, if you're watching this, then we're really glad, first of all, and then feel free to ask us some questions. Okay, so Oszkar, yeah, so basically we just to recap where we were. Again, we're building the part of the app which has the action buttons there, and if we're in a player regime, so we're playing, we have 3 buttons there. If we are not in play regime, we have only 1 button there that says restart.
Yes, and now we need to return buttons, and we need to map those buttons to a column. And
really?
Yes.
No, that's not how it works, I think. You have to return a column, and inside, and you don't have to map anything.
No,
you just have to put the buttons inside the column, I think, at least.
Well, let's see.
Oh, no, Oszkar. This, you have to add this to the list as well. Buttons egyenlő.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Yeah.
Else buttons add. Let me see. Yes, and we need to return a, that's right, we need to return a column, and inside the column will be the mapping. And the children will be buttons, like so.
Okay.
And we are creating a size box.
Oh yeah, actually Oszkar is right. You can see Flutter has all these nice functional features. You can map, you can fold, you can whatever.
And the child of the size box will be the button. We can do it like so, button instead of.
But can we do it so that it's not like super like expanded, just like we?
Well, we've set the shrink wrap property to true, and what it does, it takes the list view builder, and that's a tricky property because it takes the list view builder and it takes the whole width of the list view builder and shrinks it based on the number of elements. So if there are not enough elements that will fill the whole width of the screen, it will shrink the list view, and I haven't managed how to center the.
Okay, let's just do it. We can deal with the cosmetic stuff later on.
But we need to make it. A list. I think that let's see.
That's just because the map returns an iterable and not a list. So yeah.
Okay, another powerful thing I think is I'm now setting the size box width to a certain width that I will define here, and this is very useful. I think that I use it really often. It's actually media query of context, and it's taking the size of your device. So you can choose between the height and between the width. I'm going to use the width of the mobile.
Okay.
So the button will have the whole width of the mobile screen, and also we are going to refactor and wrap it in a padding so it looks a bit more.
Boss knows best.
Okay. So.
Oh, this looks really good.
But why are the buttons gray?
Ooh, why?
Why? Because we don't have an onPressed function.
Yeah, we don't have any actions associated with the button. So we're pretty close. The last step that we need to do. Should I do this?
Yeah, I think you can do that.
Okay. So the last step that we have to do is really just implement the sort of game logic that's already implemented in the hand file here. So this is the part that was pre-written by us. You have the enum with the suit and the playing card and the calculation of the whether a hand is hard, whether it contains an ace, and so on and so on. But we're just gonna focus on a couple of useful methods here. So let's start with the hit, right? That's the easiest, right? So if you hit, you have to perform a function. You have this nice, anonymous function syntax in Dart, and you have to take the player hand, which we named PH, and you have to draw. That's a
function written by us.
Yeah, function that we've pre-implemented. By the way, have we initialized the random thing?
Yes, we have.
Okay.
We have
so that's okay. Then
the stand
for the stand, you have to again perform a function, and the function body will be that player hand done. That means that you say, okay, I'm done. I don't want to play anymore. Has to be set to true. And then the dealer hand has to be prompted to play, right?
That's right.
And that's it. And
double is a bit more complicated.
Double is a bit more tricky. So we want it to be, we want this to be like nicely sort of animated. That we don't have it animated, but we at least want to insert some delay. So we have to declare this an async function. Flutter is super, super cool at this, that it has a built-in async await mechanism like TypeScript and many of these modern languages. So again, we set player hand to done. No,
we are checking whether we have two cards.
First we have to. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. I messed up. So first of all, we have to check whether the hand. Whether the player hand dot length
is equal to
2. So whether you only have two cards, and then if you have two cards, you return this, and if you have something else than two cards, then you return null, and the button stays inactive. So
you need to do the delay thing.
Yeah, and now if we are in a position that we can double, then if we click on a double, what should happen? We should draw a card, right? So player hand dot draw.
Then we need to await the.
We should await
and do the delay.
So we do this little trick here, future delayed. So this is a future that for those of you who know something about asynchronous programming, this will be pretty easy. Duration.
And we can.
How much?
We can say half a second.
So 500 milliseconds, right?
That's right.
So we're awaiting, and then once that is done, we say player hand done, and we prompt.
We don't need that. We just need the dealer to play.
No, we have to say the player hand is done. Just like we did in stand. So we basically do the same thing. We say done, and then we play, right? The dealer hand.
Well,
the dealer hand play, that basically in the hand, the Dart file implements the very basic rule of blackjack, that the dealer draws until 17 and then he stops. So
okay, we need to save
you're done here.
No, we need to save it.
Let's save it, and let's take a look at our app.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, so you
Ooh,
can
okay,
see
so the buttons are.
Let's see what happens when we hit.
So once we've hit, we cannot double. So we see that. Then we're 19. I think that here we should stand.
The thing that we should need to do is make the text a bit bigger.
Oh yeah, so that people
they,
can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we see that the buttons are already working.
And that's cool about it that we divided the code.
Oh, we're gonna do it on your.
So we can just go to the front card, and now we need to change a couple of things here. So we have the text, and we'll say style. Oh, and as I mentioned, we defined or we are using the Google font. We are importing the Roboto Google font, and we are setting the style here. I'm not entirely sure how to team data dot
Header or something.
I'm not sure how to do this right now.
Should I Google it for you?
Well, maybe I can open up a project in which I am using it.
I think heading. Can you just do it manually for those couple of?
Okay, never mind. We can do it by custom text style.
So we're not perfect in this, so you know you have Google.
Okay, so we'll set the font size to 20 and
you have Google, but you don't have internet.
Color to be white.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. Of course, I'm doing the wrong thing. Oh, what a shame. I accidentally styled the number. So what we will need to do is the dealer hand and the sum. Well, where is the dealer hand? The dealer hand is in the main.dart. It's here. And the player hand is right here. Okay, let's see. It's better. I think that it's better now.
Yeah, perhaps numbers.
Another thing is the sum. So I will look for the sum. Maybe not like this. We have the hand visualizer here.
15 more minutes we have.
Yes, then we can do we'll need to rotate the number on the card so it looks like a real card. So the style will be again the same.
But you have to put in a rotate or something, like a transform?
It's just the number here.
Okay.
Make it not that big, let's say 15. And another thing that we could do is to print out the sum of the soft, you can explain maybe that you can have both hard and soft
I've already
cards.
explained the concept of a hard and a soft hand. We only show the sum, which in our case is the largest possible sum that is smaller than 21. So if you have an ace, we always consider the largest option, except when you would go over 21, then we consider the smaller one. And if it's actually larger than 21 anyway, we call your hand burnt. By the way, also we should probably add a small widget signifying when the hand is burnt. I think we'll have 10 minutes for that, right, guys? Okay.
Okay, I accidentally deleted the curly brace. Okay, so we are just concatenating two strings, and basically, if it's not a hard type, or what is the rule is not hard.
Yeah, then you show both the small sum and the large sum as well.
And that's in the case if you have an ace.
So to do that, you have to. Oh,
what a shame.
Okay, we forgot to put in a restart action.
And basically, this is stateful widget. The game is a stateful widget. So what
I don't
we can
know
do,
whether we want to explain the whole thing with this solution.
well, basically what this does is that if we call setState, it rebuilds the app.
Yeah, it calls the set state on the game widget that we've started with in the first place, and that rebuilds everything. So yeah, so that's the way we restart the game.
That's right.
Does it work?
Yes, it works. So we'll show how it works in a bit, but now what we should do is to rotate the...
Also, we wanted to show the ace. So just...
but we need to wait for an ace.
Okay, let's wait for an ace.
Okay.
Just stand. Always stand. No, just...
Oh, here's an ace.
Here's an ace, but you forgot
for the second...
okay.
Brace, like so.
That's great.
And we can say that it's a soft sum.
No, don't do that. Everybody knows what it is.
Okay.
I would add like a space in between, but that's just a detail. No, I would add a space before between the parentheses, either here or here, but probably there. No, here.
Why?
So that if you have
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so the space between the real number.
Okay, so now it works. We only need to rotate the number, so it's like a real card. And
okay, in the meanwhile, if there are any questions, I'm not sure.
Are there any questions, guys? Is anyone watching the swap card or whatever chat we have? Kuba is watching it.
And what I will do is I will rotate the...
No questions. You could at least post some fake questions.
You could do that.
Okay.
And how this works is takes an angle in radians. So we need to insert, I'm inserting by 3.14 and I'm rotating the number. So now it looks like a real card.
This looks like a card, right? So we have 9 more minutes.
9 more minutes. I think we can just showcase that it really works. I think that we haven't done that.
Okay.
Okay, so
we could implement the pot and the betting.
Not in 9 minutes.
Who knows? I mean, we're...
Okay, so if you hit, you get a new card. You can see the sum is refreshed, and you have a tax dealer 1 because we overshoot the 21
threshold.
Yes.
So let's restart. Oh, by the way, let's fix the hit, the restart, and the stand so that they're uppercase. And the restart should have like the replay icon.
Okay, so we are going to call to uppercase here and here. Also, use the lower to uppercase. Also here.
And then change the icon.
Yes, to refresh, I think is the icon. Yes, that's right. So now if we hit, we get a new card.
Now you should stand.
I stand the dealer.
And the dealer 1 because he had more. Let's do once again. Okay. Just restart. Okay.
Hit. Stand.
Okay, let's put it on. If is this all or
well, what
we'll showcase it on our mobile for the camera. What we can fix is
another thing is styling.
Maybe the 1 and the stuff. It should be big and it should be like happy, at least a smiley or something, right?
Okay.
With an icon.
We can implement that. So I'm just looking for the style. Property.
You can do a pop-up thing. No.
We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, so we're fixing the styling here. This is not the best way to do, but it's hackjack, so whatever, right? You should probably just define this in the state somewhere up there, and then define this as a default state.
In the meanwhile, maybe I can open a file that...
Just look at there.
Well, there it's not there.
Okay. Should I open the code base here?
No, I will open a file that has. Okay. But we have a hackjack that had styling in it.
Okay. Open that one.
Flutter. I think this is the one. And let's see whether we had Google Fonts here. Yes, we had Google Fonts. Did we use it? No, we didn't. Okay, so I will look for the Google Fonts. And then we can show how it works on the real mobile phone.
Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, theme of context dot text theme. Let's see. So we should call here
theme.off. I don't think we have to overcomplicate this, but yeah, let's try to do this. .off, just try .off.
Theme of context
and heading or something. Heading.
Just try theme of text theme.
Text heading.
Text theme, and we will have body text
2. Okay.
And now the body text 2 should be the body text 2. Oh,
okay. So again, this is the same Flutter paradigm. You always have this context variable that you can get things out of if you provide them up there, either with the provider library or you build a so-called inherited widget. In this case, the material app built it.
Yes. So basically, what we have shown you that you can define it like for own, and also you can use the predefined.
Okay.
Now let's see.
Let's update it. Let's upload this to a device.
Okay. So now here I have this was a virtual device.
Okay.
It's a virtual Android device, and now what we will need to do is open the terminal, and I'll just connect the phone.
You have to go to developer mode or stuff like that.
Yes, you need to also allow debugging.
Can I Control C the current Flutter session?
I think that you don't need to. Well,
you don't need to?
Yeah, yes, you need. And now, I think that it was the latest update that until now you had to write in this code of the device, and now you just can choose it by pressing 0 or 1.
Okay, you choose 1. Android SDK.
No, you just chosen the wrong one.
I chose the wrong one. Oh, sorry. I do
Flutter
one thing and
and you need to choose the.
I had one job.
The 1+. Okay, I don't know whether we can zoom in.
Zolika, can we cut to the camera and we'll show it live? Okay. So
and hopefully it will build, because
building.
The first build takes a pretty long time.
Yeah, that's why you have the hot reload, so you don't have to wait that much. It's still building. Okay.
It should be a minute.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, it's done. Now it's installing the app. Okay.
Okay. There you go. You can unplug this.
That's right. Yes.
Let's go to the camera.
But for some reason, okay, there. You cannot see the. Okay, so here's the app on the real device. And you can ask for a couple of cards. And here is the list view builder that we implemented. As you can see, it's scrolling in